entire conference. If you registered early, you paid $150. We're able to do that through social media and the fact that we don't have to spend very much money on advertising. So this is me asking you to help me with advertising. Right now, get out your phone. Get out your phone. Go to Facebook. Go to Facebook. Pull up CF Tactics on Facebook. CF Tactics on Facebook. And that last post that I just did where it's worth the risk in this conference, click on share a post where you can put right, and on there put live stream. Because we're live streaming this worldwide this morning. So hello out there to cyberspace and everybody joining in on HROC2015 via the internet. So please go there and share that. If there's 300 shares, if there is 300 shares by lunchtime, we will open next year's conference once again at under $200 for you. That's my pledge to you. But we need 300 shares on Facebook. I think that's a pretty good deal. I don't know where else you can get this kind of training for less than $200. So we'll start in 5 minutes. Good morning. Welcome to HROC 2015, High-Rise Operations Conference. HROC is the only annual high-rise conference in the world. The only one. It will continue as long as you continue to attend. At this time, I'd like everybody to rise as we present the colors of the Escambia County Honor Guard. Throughout today, I'll give you some details of what's going to transpire, cover the different lunches, things like that. But first and foremost, did you enjoy last night? Who took part in a free beer from Pensacola Bay Brewery? Awesome. Great, great. It's worth the risk. My question to you is, what really is the risk? I think risk has taken on a life of its own, a life that I do not like, a life of being a bad thing. I'm going to tell you here, this conference is about taking risk, taking the proper risk, because we've got to get back to putting the citizens first. The citizens first. That's who we're here to serve, is them. You took an oath to be in the fire service to provide a service. It's not about you and your selfies and your selfie sticks. It's about honoring what our fathers and their fathers did in creating. And I'm here to tell you, I will not give up on us reinstilling what the fire service was founded on. trained to put their families first. Because I too have a family. And I love my family. My wife and 3 kids, please come up. My wife Jessica, my oldest Trevor, my favorite daughter Catherine. You would give my wife and kids a round of applause for providing me the best. I love my family, and when I'm at work, I'm relying on the Midway Fire Department, Chief Kanzik and his firefighters to understand it's worth the risk. If they would be trapped on a boat out in the bay, if they're trapped in a house that's on fire, I expect them to make an aggressive attack inside to confirm that no one is inside. Because I love them, and I need somebody to understand that it's worth the risk. I'd like to thank my wife first and foremost for this conference wouldn't exist if it wasn't for her love and support of me and the fire service. She too loves the fire service. I'd also like to thank all the instructors. It takes over a staff of 50 people to pull this fire conference off. If you're an instructor, staff, and you've helped in any way, please stand. Please stand if you've helped in any way. Raise your hand. Stand up. Come on, guys. You know if you've done anything. You've got knives. You know, this idea for this fire conference literally did come up at 30,000 feet. Ray and I were flying somewhere, I don't remember where it was, and we were talking about it, and it's a reality now. It's the 3rd year. But it wouldn't happen if it wasn't for everybody. Yes, Ray and I came up with the idea and the dream to have it, but it's all these people that help, so thank you very much. I'd also like to thank my father who got me in the American Fire Service. My father's the one that taught me the value of loving the fellow man, the value of putting other people first. My dad has been putting other people first for 80 years. Dad, would you please stand? My dad retired with 20 years in the United States Air Force. Joined the Air Force in 1952. This is where my dad grew up. Apartment house on South Phillips and 75th Street, the south side of Chicago. 75th Street collapse. Anybody remember that? 75th Street collapse, Chicago. Right down the street when that collapse happened, my dad said, I used to walk by that building. Anybody have any idea what's going on at 75th and South Phillips these days? You think it's a place you want your kids walking around? It's a different place back then. But you know, when I saw where my dad grew up for the first time, I was 41 years old. I just saw it for the first time when I was in Chicago back in October. And when I saw it, I thought to myself, I get the value of it's worth the risk from him growing up on the south side of Chicago and understanding to be appreciative for what you have. It's not about what you don't have. It's about what you do have. It's about serving others, because if you give without looking to receive, you will receive it 10 times over. Because when I was a kid, we didn't have bottled water. We had a garden hose. We've got to fix society. But first and foremost, we've got to fix the fire service to understand we've got to stop the sissification of the American Fire Service. If you don't believe it's happening, it is. It is happening and it's out of control. I'm embarrassed of some of the stuff I hear some fellow instructors talking. They do not talk or act like we were taught coming into this job. They don't talk like the special forces or talk like the military that serves our country. We've got to get back to those values. We've got to get back to what the commander, the general at FDIC said about no-fail mission. The mission's got to be about success, and success is about saving civilian lives. Why a firefighter? I want you to ask yourself that question this morning. Why a firefighter? Why did you join the fire service? Was it for the pension? If it was for the pension, your pension's better than a school teacher, so you ought to be taking a little bit more what? Risk than a school teacher. Why a firefighter? That's me in my fire car back in the 70s, and behind me, you can't see it out of the picture, is my dad's 53 pickup truck with the fire chief magnets on the side of it. I can tell you, I've always wanted to be a firefighter. I've always wanted to be a firefighter. It's never stopped. A burning desire to fight fires has always been there. And I want you to have that burning desire. I want you to have the desire to be more aggressive, not less aggressive. That's right. I want you to leave this conference and think about how, not stupid, not kamikaze, not on a suicide mission, but how can you be more aggressive to provide a better service to say, lower the property loss by fire and lower the number of civilian fatalities. Because everybody wants to be a fireman until it's time to do fireman shit. Chiefs in this country, get back to the basics. In the 90s, there was a push to get back to the basics. It's time to get back to the basics. And the basics to the chiefs of the American Fire Service and the Canadian Fire Service is when it's time to wear a suit, dress like a gentleman or a lady. And when it's time to wear fire gear, put that stuff on. You can't figure out your purpose. Figure out your passion. For your passion will lead you right into your purpose. Very powerful statement. Folks, you can't fake passion. If you don't have a desire to serve people, you don't have a desire to push the envelope, to take risk, then you need to find another job. It's worth the risk. Look at this photo, the cover of this, your brochure. Chief Tracy, what year was this?
Sometime in the 90s.
Not early 90s? Yeah. Chief Tracy was bumping, him and Bob Preston, they rolled up on his job, going to the specifics of the risk they were willing to take, because you'd be all over Facebook going crazy. But this is the Chicago Fire Department. The fire department that protected my dad as a kid in that apartment house. This was over 20 years ago, and his cleaning company is about to use that deck gun to do what? In his high-rise multiple dwelling. What are they going to use that deck gun for, folks? In an occupied multiple dwelling. They're going to shoot it. They're going to give it a dash of water. And the Chicago Fire Department dates back over 50 years. They call it quick water. It ain't new shit. There's a four-letter word I'm going to say in this class, and I'm authorized. It's that word. I'm sorry. I rarely ever use four-letter words when I speak, but I got to do something because you're firefighters. I got to keep you awake. They've been doing this for over 20 years. It's not new stuff. They knew, because they're an urban fire department that gets it. They know they give out a dash, they knock it down, while they're getting companies inside to do an interior fire attack, to stop interior fire spread, and do a search. Second largest fire department in North America. To the right is Chief John Newell, a gentleman, a chief that gets a mentor that I feel lucky enough to arrive in the 16th Battalion and observe him work. Chief John Newell, what a gentleman. That's him as a chief on top of an engine in a Harlem, a 69 engine. I love 69. It's a great number because it is the best engine company in FDNY. A little partial based on that was Ray's company. But that's the largest fire department. And what does Chief Newell have Otto doing there with that deck gun? Look at the picture to the right. They're darkening down with fire because they were having some understanding it's worth the risk. They were doing this 20 years ago too. Because there's a time and place where we cannot go down the path of this is what you're looking to do. This is just something you pull out every once in a while. Who gets the Sunday paper anymore? This isn't the Sunday comics. Oh, hang on, honey. They are transitioning. It's funny, but it's not funny. And I get tired of people saying, are departments really going to full bore, standing in the yard? Yes, I travel. There are departments that are writing SOGs that say first water shall be applied from the outside first. Let's get rid of the $10,000 tick, the $3,000 gear, the $3,000 air pack. Guys, this Mickey Mouse shit has got to stop. It does. I'm going to tell you, I backed up. One of my mentors, Captain Bill Guston, and I, before any of this stuff came out from UL about even the word transition attack, I was pushing it. I was teaching it. Captain Guston was in my class. I had every presentation I did, I talked about it being okay, just like Captain Gus does. Giving it a dash from the outside while you're stretching lines to get inside. Giving it a dash to knock it down because we knew water on solid fuels is a good thing. I was pushing it. I was teaching it. And I can tell you I've taken it out of all of my programs because we've gone from an extreme of being worried about pushing fire and not wanting to put water from the outside to that's what people are looking to do every time. People are stretching hose lines over fences around the backyard for a one-room fire on the Charlie Delta side, and what's the fire doing in the hallway? It's lighting off, and it's killing people. We got to stop it. I'm not even going to say anything about this slide. I'm just going to let you look at it. We've got to stop complicating the fire service. It's about stretching a line, watering the grass, and getting that water on the fire to protect interior operations. I'm going to tell you what, based on the fuel loads of today, based on the civilian fatalities that still exist, based on the amount of property loss in the billions every year, the fire service has got to get back to hitting it hard, hitting it fast, and backing it up. We've got to be stretching more lines and making sure those lines are properly staffed. We've got to be putting water on the fire. There shouldn't be a fire department that can't tell another individual that they flow 150 when they're going to the front door. I don't want you to raise your hand. It is unacceptable if your fire department is not positive based on their hose and nozzles that they're flowing 150 GPM or 2.5 gallons a second. I'm going to tell you right now, I believe this for 15 years, and I believe it more today than ever before. The American Fire Service in a residential setting, whether it's urban, suburban, or rural, when you pull up on a private dwelling, single-family dwelling, I think most of the time the booster backup is the way we need to fight fire. We need to load up on the front end. With staffing of today, you can't afford for a one-room fire to have that second engine company sitting at a hydrant. The first engine company's got 3 people. What are 3 people going to do with the water they brought in their booster tank? They don't even have enough people to properly apply it. I'm going to tell you, the fire service has set its tactics about catching hydrants based on the 1% fire and not the 99%. The private dwellings, we need to get 2 engine companies there, hooked together with 2 companies of people that get a line inside to give it a chance. Fires are growing so fast that when one company with 3 or 4 people, they can't do what needs to be done now while an engine company is sitting on a hydrant and the engine that's on scene hadn't even started using water yet. Enough about tactics. list? Raise your hand. All right, if you're not on the secret list, sign up. Every firefighter should get the secret list. Every firefighter should get the secret list. You should get an email when things happen. But I want you to understand, firefighter close calls, the website's about us. What about a website that's about them? What do you think about that? Society has become so self-absorbed with selfies and what can you do for me? What have you done for me lately? It's a local website. I mandate all my personnel get the email. And then I still forward them when something important comes out to make sure they're reading it. Keyboard experts and civilian lives. The keyboard experts out there are playing with civilian lives. That's what they're doing. They're getting on there, worried about ridiculing somebody that's climbing a ladder, trying to make a grab because they don't have their gloves on, they don't have this on. You know what? How about the fact that they get that it's worth the risk? We've got to shut down the keyboard experts, the ones sitting in their underwear at their house in a closet that nobody even knows who they are, what fires or halls they crawl down. You have to help me shut down the keyboard experts. You know who I don't see on social media, Monday morning quarterbacking fellow firefighters around the country? I don't see Chief Dunn doing that. I don't see Chief Morris, Chief Lombardo, Lieutenant McCormack, all these other great instructors that are here from around the country, Chief McGrail. I don't see my mentors. I've never seen them get on social media and ridicule somebody about the fire they weren't at on there without having the details. You stop doing it. New goals, so everyone goes home. That's great. I think that's a great concept. I know what it's like to lose a firefighter, a brother to fire. It sucks. But I have to also understand we learn from it and we respectfully step forward, honoring them, but moving forward to provide the service we were providing the day before we lost them. We learn from it, we move on. So everyone goes home. Does that include the civilians? How about that? When you roll out the door, is it about them? Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? That's what I want to ask you. What are you doing for others? That's the question you have to ask. Are you here to serve? Are you here to be a servant because that's what kind of job you signed up? Martin Luther King Jr. How many recognize this book? I have a copy of it. Got my dad's copy. Came out in the 70s. Now, folks, America is still burning and civilians are still at risk. America is still on fire. My department is Escambia County. It's not FDNY, it's not Chicago, it's not Miami-Dade, it's not Palm Beach County. Escambia County has been going about a working fire a day. This beach just had a second alarm, 10 engines and 4 ladders in a 3-story mansion just down the road about 3 or 4 nights ago. America is still burning. Don't compare what was burning in the 70s today. Compare today to today. We have to understand there's still a fight to be fought. Okay, you all let me raise your hands. You got the secret list. How many of you get the U.S. Fire Administration email every week on the civilian battalions for the previous week? Raise your hand. Oh, you don't get that? You just get that self-absorbed email, right, about how the firefighter got cut his hand, got a piece of glass in his eye. Most of the time it's about rolling a fire truck over, running a red light. How about this? I get one every week. For November 1st to November 7th, civilian deaths in America, number of fatalities, 42. 24 male, 13 female. Age over 65, 15, children 14 and under 8. Most of them were middle-aged. Year-to-date home fire fatalities. To that date, November 7th, 1,926 civilians died in private dwellings. And this year. It's now over 2,000 in private dwellings. Single-family private dwellings. There's another week right there, November 8th through the 14th. 43 fatalities in 1 week by fire, trapped in a house. Let me ask you folks, can we reduce this number by being more aggressive? Can we reduce this number by being more aggressive?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you again. Can we reduce this number by being more aggressive?
Yes.
Thank you. My dad's a fire marshal. My first paid job was a fire inspector. I believe in smoke detectors. When we go on a smell of smoke, we go on any call. Even I know my lieutenant's going to do it. Lieutenant Bogey, I still give him the radio and I say, have you done what? Have you put in a smoke detector? I see one too many people burn up and put in body bags. I don't want to go to another one. I believe in smoke detectors. I believe in sprinkler systems. But when they fail, we're the next line of defense. And we've got to do something about this number. It's not in the picture up the top. It says this courtesy of Brian Olson out from Idaho. I'm going to show you this, but how about this board? He sat down and took all the statistical data on this 2,000, the 3,000 that died every year, based on what room they were in, where the fire started. So the percentage of where the fire started, where they were, tells us where should we take the hose line most of the time, where should we start our searches, where should we end our searches. Do you think this kind of training can reduce that 43 fatalities that were having last week? Yes. We've got to get back to basics on aggressive searching. If you're not signed up for firefighterrescues.com, get on firefighterrescues.com. That kind of go to the life saving notice that we need to be ready. When that moment comes, saving lives is the most important work a firefighter will do. In this rescue, there are many other seen and unseen who assisted in success. Let us know your story, that moment when you were ready and saved a life. Raise your hand if you know about this picture. Captain Patty Brown, Lieutenant Raymond Cormack as a human anchor, and Kevin Shea hanging from a rope to save somebody's life, and save their life they did. Would you call this a risk? Back when this happened over 20 years ago, they were heroes, and they should have been. They stepped up and they did their job. I am scared to death that if this exact same rescue happened today, and the video made social media, the websites, what would a lot of our fellow brothers be doing? Talking about the rope and the human, they'd be doing, they wouldn't be saying, man, that's awesome, they saved a life. I'm not going to play these videos, they're a little long-winded. This is a video right here. We'll go to the next one. Go ahead and just play that one for a second, Jake. We skip through those videos. You can see them online. Can you turn the volume up? This was April 30th, 2014. This is ladder 12 making a rescue of a lady that trapped on top of a car that was washed into the woods. She was holding on. That's J.P. Norris hooked to a rope, hooked to an aerial ladder, doing a human body hug to hold her. No, this wasn't no Swiftwater approved OSHA FDA SD-48 compliant. You can jump ahead, Jake, to next. You can see it goes all the way past. The road was going. Washed the bridge away. Washed it away. You know what? That was a dangerous mission. We used an aerial ladder outside of its thing, but did it work? We did. I was in command. Had another great chief that was running the operations of it. Had a guy I've been going to fires with for 25 years standing at the turntable. Somebody that I would be proud to run an aerial with Chief Lombardo standing by watching me. We had the right people in the right task. People that were willing to take the risk and it would back each other up. We've got to get back to it. This is Jake, our IT. Run the computer for back in the room. Lieutenant Noah's with Midway Fire Department, lives across the street from me. It's pretty awesome when a lifelong friend lives across the street, is an RN paramedic firefighter, and he gets that it's worth the risk. Because when I'm gone, he's there to protect my family. And they got a boat, and as soon as they got the boat, within a couple of days, some kids were missing out in a large body of water, Pensacola Bay, zero visibility, heavy conditions. They got on a boat, and they went out, and they saved their life. Trust me, they were conditions that a lot of chiefs of today would have said, no go. No go. But their chief didn't say no go. He said go. Because they had the equipment, they had the training, and they went out and they plucked these three girls that were scared to death, floating in the middle of a body of water that they see nothing. Do you think their parents appreciate the Midway Fire Department understanding it's worth the risk? First floor kitchen fire, special line. This is the time to get a ladder. PEF, second floor. Fire in Cornwall Beach a couple of months ago. Company's tacking the fire, getting in. Company does a search. Don't find anybody. Another company comes in, does a secondary find. That's why we do primary and secondary searches. Search like you're looking for somebody. That was a grab. Same fire department, two-station fire department, Cornwall Beach 20 years ago. They pull up, two kids standing out front, their boxer shorts, screaming and hollering, my mom's inside, my mom's inside. Cornwall Beach Fire Department truck 6 gets off. Takes the window, enters, fire's coming into the room. Gets her, that's them carrying her. They took that window that's got fire out of it, that's the window that they broke the window in her, got her out. They're carrying her. And within seconds of them exiting that room, the room flat. This is her conscious a little bit later with the fire still behind you. Do you realize this kind of stuff happens all the time? We're just not fortunate enough to have these kind of pictures. We are saving a lot of civilian lives. Another fire in the front of that house. The whole front of the house was going. The whole front of the house. They dropped a 2.5. They're blitzing it. They're knocking it down. They're not doing a transition attack. They're just fighting fire because it's out every window in the front. Engine 3 goes to the back of the building. Take out a window, do a search. Boom, nobody's in there. They're screaming, she's in there. Does another sweep, doesn't find anybody. Firefighter comes to the window and says, look, can I check the hallway? Yeah. Goes back, goes out in the hallway, hooks the door edge. In the hallway, they find her. At that time, they're pushing in the front door, so instead of taking her back in the bedroom out the window, drags her down the hallway in the front yard, gets her in the front yard, lays down. EMS crew walks over, looks at her, up, she's dead. The firefighter went inside and understand it's worth the risk. Did 2 searches, went out in the hallway, found her, drove her down the hallway, drove her out in the front yard, rips his mask off, grabs the paramedic, and says, you will F-work her. They weren't going to work her. But they'll work a 90-year-old at a nursing home for an hour. Well, we won't work a fire victim that we removed from the house. It's disgusting. We should give as much effort to try to search and then bring back to life trapped occupants of fire as we do somebody that's lived a great life. They brought her back in the ambulance. I'm going to tell you right now, I go back to the 90s when I heard Bob Pressler do a speech on the big stage at FDIC. And his speech was about how many civilians had that 2,000 to 3,000 died because we don't search. We're not aggressive enough, or we get them outside and they just say, well, they didn't wake up. We've got to be working and we've got to give them that chance just like it was your loved ones. Far-ground leadership and training, that's what we need. We need chiefs that want to be leaders. We need chiefs that want to put on bunker gear and lead from the front. We need chiefs that are putting money into training. You want to find out how much an organization believes in training? Take their training budget, divide it by the number of personnel. If it's anything less than $2,000 a firefighter, that means it's not worth $2,000 a year worth of training for a firefighter. It's disgusting. Very few fire departments in America are even putting $500 per firefighter into their annual training budget. It's disgusting how many fire departments in North America, large, established fire departments, don't have a realistic training ground. This photo here, Chief Lombardo, Captain Lombardo at the time, I can still hear the audio. I couldn't find it. I heard the audio of Chief Lombardo talking like it's a training drill. And there's 11 kids in this house, and they find some kids up in the attic, and he can talk about it later today. But he's searching. He's giving them that chance. You understand? He's working the risk. That's him sticking his head out with that nasty smoke chugging, and he's got his helmet on. He's looking out the window. What's Chief Lombardo? He's making sure his folks are out. He's not just going to jump out the window because he's a leader. He's putting his people first. First in, last out. You heard that before? It's been around a long time. How about we get back to that type of far-ground leadership with our officers and chiefs? First in, last out leadership. I know it's a book. It's a good book. But that statement's been around a long time. First in, last out. That's what we got to get back to. And that's what Chief Lombardo is. First in, last out. There he is coming down. Comes out the window, got his feet together, toes down. This is the bottom of the ladder, and about a minute or so later, the whole place flashes. It's calculated based on realistic fireground training. I thought about that last fire when I saw this last week. This was a Saving Queens. Company goes there, heavy fire, zero visibility, makes a push to the attic. Rocket fire makes a push to the attic, finds the kid, gets him out, and saves his life because they understand it's worth the risk. They make the push. And sometimes if we're aggressive, and sometimes we fail to truly train each other, or we make mistakes, or people that die desperately are going to die. We honor them. We learn from them. But we don't let those things completely change everything. We let this just minor too. I'm telling you right now, nobody wants to say it on the big stage. Nobody wants to say it out loud. So I will just say it for the people that want to say it and won't say it. People are going to die. It sucks, but it's a reality. But you know what? We can minimize that number by aggressive back to basics training. We can reduce those civilian fire fatalities and still keep that number that's in the single digits, and maybe lower it. Play that video, please. Thanks to Jim McCormick at FD Training for providing you a great fire newsletter. Next slide, Jake. That was Chief Lombardo at Disney World for Firefighters up in Indianapolis. FD Training Network. FD Training Network, that's the place I will send my kids if they decide to join the fire service. A place that understands it's worth the risk. A place that trains firefighters that they can go to the ultimate without breaking. Understanding when it's time to go or no go. Folks, I wrote an article a few years ago called The Urban Legend. If you go to County Fire Tax Under Search, you can put in The Urban Legend and read it. It's my story about growing up in the fire service. But I thought about this article when I was putting together my presentation, and I thought, the urban legend, can we recreate it? Can we bring back what we had 20 years ago, 30 years ago? I think the astounding answer is yes. I'm going to ask you, do you think that we can reinvigorate the fire service to be firefighters like the Special Forces, aggressive firefighters that want to save civilian lives? What's the answer? Yes. Okay. Because I'm hoping that this picture is something that some of you can look at and take that as an honor. And I understand firefighters are going to die from cancer, but we got to understand it's a dangerous job. We got to understand that this is the people and how they did it before us. Scaling buildings. They saved a lot of civilians by taking those risks. This can't be a picture that you see and go, oh my gosh, that firefighter is crazy. You know what I mean? That's the firefighter I want to be. Who's this in this picture? Who's in the picture? Leo Stapleton, a commissioner at Chief Gibson. Starts as a pro, he spends 3 decades working up to the chief of department commissioner. Never sold out his men, still went to fires. That's what we need. We need firefighters, fire officers, and chiefs that want to go to fires. I'm not asking you to pray for people's shit to catch on fire, but I do want you to want to be on duty so you can go and stop fire loss in civilian life. If you don't, who will? This is what we need. Chief of departments understanding it's about getting the hose line in operation. Where will the experience to attack this fire come from? If you have a high-rise building, don't give me your excuses about your staff, and I don't care about your excuses. Are you trying to formulate so you can go up, you can hook up and go up. Are you 20 fires before this when you just stand in the yard and just lob water in? Or did you practice making a push in low visibility? Because high-rise building standpipe operations is something we got to get better at. The high-rise fire is the fire of the future, the vertical neighborhood. Because I'm going to tell you something. In the world of engine company operations, what a great leader in the Chicago Fire Department coined a long time ago is we need more balls, water, and common sense so we can make the push and understand how to suppress fires. We need people that when they leave Earth, they're looked at as leaders. They leave a legacy, somebody that you want to be. I dedicate this conference to Chief Harvey Eisman. A leader, a man of integrity, a man of character, somebody that had great friends, somebody that gave me a great opportunity over 10 years ago. We need to get more Harvey Eisners involved in the fire service and run the fire service.
That's great.
I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to ask you to leave the job a little better for the next time. This Captain Dick Scheid carried little John out from Our Lady of Angels fire. Fire happened in Chicago. My father grew up in an apartment house in Chicago. And I wonder if my father were living in that apartment house today, and it was in another city, would the fire department go search for him? I know in that city it would. The Squad 5 would be there. And Squad 5 would understand because that man left a legacy. He left a legend of leaving it better for the next guy. I hope you have a great conference. If you need anything, my number's on the brochure and the open page. We'll give you more details. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you around tonight. I'd like to bring up Chief Dave McGrail for the next presentation. Thank you very much.